Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about three topics. One is going to be the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. The other is going to be about the jobs, the job market, and inflation. And the third one is going to be about online reviews slash advertising online. These are completely unrelated, by the way, but those are the three topics that I want to discuss today. Okay, number one, Kyle Rittenhouse. What's my position on him? Is he innocent or guilty? So, for those who don't know, he is a person who attended the rallies in Kenosha, Wisconsin, on the right side, meaning he was an anti-liberal, right? He was against the protesters, and so nominally, ostensibly, he was there to preserve the order, right? Not necessarily to instigate. Well, the others were the instigators, right? Not to anti-instigate, right? But he was merely there to protect the businesses, okay? And there's evidence indeed that he actually helped even protesters who needed medical attention. He helped them, and he was just, not provocative. He was just guarding some type of, what they said, a dealership. I think they meant a car dealership. Okay, and then what happened is, at some point, the crowd attacked him, or at the very minimum, they pursued him, right? And they tried to, get him, whatever. I don't know what they wanted to beat him up or whatever. So he had to run away, and he turned around and he confronted them and he pulled out his gun and he shot someone. And then they then they came after him again. Now you're the shooter, right? So now they chased him again, and so now there was a second shooting following the initial incident in which he shot someone. So in all, two people were shot dead and one person was injured. So that's the story of this Rittenhouse guy. So, at the time, he tried to turn himself into the police, but the police were too busy with other stuff. By the way, there were gunshots in the air constantly on that in that event. So, the police weren't necessarily shocked to hear gunshots, because most of them were just people shooting in the air, or it wasn't any actual killing. So, but anyway, the day later, they came and they arrested him, and then now he's being charged. So what's my position? Okay, so here's my opinion on this. So my end verdict is not guilty, but there's a big but. He exercised very poor judgment here. My position, I'm a very strong critic of people getting involved in fights that don't belong to them. Like, if you don't have a dog in the fight, don't get involved. You want to be a spectator? Fine. Don't get involved. So he didn't even live in that community. In fact, he crossed state lines to defend, businesses in Kenosha. And you have no business there. You're not a cop. You're not being paid to do this. And you're not even a suitable volunteer for this, because this is not your community. It's not your state even. So why did he do this? Okay, so he did this out of conviction, right? Maybe out of moral fortitude. Okay, he thought it the same way as Christians have missionary activities, right? They're doing it for God. Okay, that was the higher calling. But you're taking a gun with you for that higher calling. And again, I understand why he took that gun. And that itself is not really, that doesn't indict him, the fact that he took a gun. It's completely normal. Cops brandish guns all the time, and it doesn't mean that they're guilty of murder or even manslaughter. They don't intend to use it. They don't intend to actually employ it. The reason they carry a gun is as a sign of authority, for the most part. And of course, potentially having to use it, right? So it was okay, per se, for him to carry a gun, considering that he's going into hostile territory, and considering that the mission, that his mission was to protect businesses from a bunch of rioters. So considering that that was his mission, it made sense to carry a gun. But that should never have been his mission. That's my big criticism. It's a very poor judgment that he exercised. He should not have done this. Now, I know that many other people did it too, but that doesn't excuse him. That's still poor judgment. So he happened to be the hapless person who got involved in this, and he had to pull his gun, and it could have easily happened to someone else, right? Meaning somebody similar to his position, where, he's a conservative, he's carrying a gun, he's trying to defend a business, the crowd charges you, and you feel scared, and what are you gonna do? You panic, and there's so many people, you're afraid they're gonna, bludgeon you to death, and so you pull a weapon. And so that's essentially what happened, right? Of course, you won't hear this in the liberal media. To them, he's guilty. Um, it's a foregone conclusion that he's guilty, but that's the reality of what happened. And nevertheless, I morally condemn him, but legally he's innocent, like I said, because the evidence points that he acted in self-defense. So the only thing, again, like I said, the only qualms I have about this is that he shouldn't have done this. He should not have gone there. But, is he guilty of manslaughter? Is he guilty of murder? Murder for sure not. I mean, he acted in self-defense. By any account, this was self-defense. And remember, self-defense doesn't necessarily mean that he has to prove that he would have conclusively, definitively died if he hadn't acted. If any reasonable person fears for his life, given that situation, then, that's acting in self-defense. And I should also add that the people who pursued him were idiots. Like, why are you starting a fight with a guy with a gun who not only does he have a gun, but that, deep inside of you, that he's right? Right? You know that you're not supposed to be vandalizing people's properties, right? So if he's defending a person's property, just don't mess with him. Just try to vandalize somebody else's property where he's not looking or something. Like you can't. You have this brazenness of confronting somebody who is doing the correct thing, right? And is stronger than you, he has a weapon. So that was very brain dead for them to do. If you're going to be rioting, don't go after the cop who's standing guard, okay, with a gun. And he's not using it, by the way. Okay, remember, he wasn't using it until they charged him. Okay, done with that topic. Next one. So the second topic was inflation and the job market. So something very, very interesting has happened. And I've never seen this in my lifetime. You have companies looking for workers and they can't fill the jobs. Like, I've been in the labor market, almost continuously over the last 20 years. I'm not in it right now, but for 20 years, virtually since my adulthood, I've been looking for work. I've been looking for a good job, a career, a satisfying job that pays well, that allows me to save and support a family, etc. And I had been unable to find one for years, for decades. And now suddenly the tables have turned. Now suddenly workers are in demand. So it's amusing and a little absurd to me because now I'm not looking, right? But anyway, it's kind of like my my plight from the past is being vindicated now that, hey, look at you, right? I'm having schadenfreude here. Look at you, employer. For decades, you look at me like scum, like, oh, I got so many other thousands of workers applying for the same job. I don't need you. I'm going to ignore your resume submission. That's what they did, by the way. I have submitted hundreds of resumes, over the years. Ignore, never called back. Never called back. Now, I recognize now that if I had to do it all over again, I'm wiser now than I was in the past, and I recognize that I went about it the wrong way, etc. It's not the point of this monologue here. But the point being, though, is that clearly it was an employer's market, meaning they were looking for the people they wanted, and they could do whatever they wanted. And now it's the opposite. Now it's an employee's market because we, the employees, the workers, we choose whom to work for. And we set the price. And if you don't want to pay the price we want, okay, adios. All right, I'll just won't work because Biden will give me money anyway. So this is actually very amusing what's happening here. So on the one hand, I'm actually vindicated and I feel good about this. On the other hand, the flip side of this is that you don't get service. And there's a shortage of products and goods in the market. And I see this. I see this with my eyes every day. So that's the flip side, and it hurts. So overall, I see, I mean, it's obviously I'm still eating, I'm still having clothes, my electricity is here. So none of the basic necessities of life are being affected at this point. So it's not, it's not at the level that I need to worry about. So, it's kind of like the vindication aspect of this overrides the inconvenience of not having having accessible goods and services as much as in the past, right? Um, so yeah, so overall I'm okay, but still it's very shocking and striking to watch this happening. Tables have turned, things are different, it's interesting to watch, and I wonder how this is going to pan out. Now, regarding inflation, inflation is terrible. I hate inflation, and obviously Biden's policies are clearly at fault here. And by the way, this started with Trump, because the stimulus payment started with Trump, and he should have never done it. You don't do stimulus payments. This is what started this whole thing. You started giving people money not to work, and okay, I'm not going to work. Uh, and then they paid, and then they said, oh, okay, you can stay in your house, you don't have to pay rent. Okay, I'll stay in my house and I don't want to pay rent. Like all of these things, they mess up with the market big league, as Trump would say. And, you're trying to capture some puny reward, short-term reward, and even if you even get that, like how much did for example, the moratorium on evictions, how much did that really affect anyone? It's just nonsense, This whole thing is so overplayed and exaggerated. People didn't, have to quit their jobs. There was plenty of ways in which to either work remotely or stay on the job in a safe manner. I mean, obviously, I'm a COVID skeptic, so to me, it's all bullshit. But even if you are concerned about it, okay, so a lot of companies they implemented social distancing. They had, I mean, eventually they had vaccines, but they had other things. They had masks. They had this. They had that. You didn't have to quit your jobs. You didn't. A lot of these people, and again, they choose to watch CNN constantly. So yes, you're going to be scared shitless if you want to watch CNN and MSNBC and read the New York Times every day, right? Because that's all they're going to talk about. But okay, but anyway, that's beside the point. The point that I'm making here is that that the policies that the government implemented and encouraged were just uncalled for. They were bad, and they hastened and accelerated and induced all of this inflation. And so yeah, so this is a thing that happened on both watches, both Trump and Biden, and it's bad. I'm going to call it out as it is. It was bad then, it's bad now, and Biden is continuing with this folly. He wants to spend even more money with these infrastructure bill and the reconciliation and this and that, and it's terrible. He says that there's dozens of award-winning economists who are saying that this is going to help. Okay, show me the evidence. Show me the information. How is this going to help? How is spending another $1 trillion over 10 years? How is that going to help rather than hurt the course of inflation? Of course, it's going to hurt. When you're spending more. When the government is spending more, they're creating money. That's what they're doing. So you're creating $1 trillion out of nothing. Of course, you're inflating the currency. So he's going counterintuitive here, but he's not telling you why. It's just he's using the ad hominem here. Okay, dude. Well, the experts, they're award-winning, and they said, what did they say? Well, nobody knows, but they said it. Okay. Well, did they whisper in your ear? Okay, show us the logic. Show us the evidence. Doesn't make any sense. And of course, when he turns out to be wrong, the media never hold him accountable for it. So he gets a pass, So anyway, all right, moving on. Third topic. So we're going to talk now about reviews and online marketing, completely unrelated to the previous two. Okay, so online reviews. So what you have nowadays is that people have an experience with a particular company, they leave a review online. So most of the time you go to Google Maps, so businesses are listed there, and you can go there and you can leave a review. You can also leave a review on Yelp, and there's also neighborhood associations, mostly on Facebook, but there's also on, what is it called, Nextdoor, right? There's Nextdoor, there's other services, I assume. And you can just participate there and leave a review about a business that you've experienced. So, or recommend one, or disrecommend one. Okay, so what's my take on this? So, the principal thing that I want to say about this is that reviews are not as reliable as you would think. Why? I'll tell you why. If you think about it, if somebody has a poor experience with a company, okay, in the past, 20, 30 years ago, if that happened, let's say you're very unhappy with a company. The company's not answering the phone, they took money from you, they didn't provide the service, they messed up, whatever, you're pissed. What are you going to do about it? Okay, so you can either call some type of financial bureau in your state or on a federal level to try to get them involved. You can report it to the BBB, the Better Business Bureau. You can sue them in court, obviously. What else can you do? Like, you're not going to take out an ad in the local newspaper telling you about your experience. There was no social media back then, and there was no internet. Period. But even if you had internet, it's not interactive like it is nowadays. So if you had it, okay. So if you were a blogger, you can. Oh, there was. This is pre-blog, so, So if you're a webmaster, you can put it up on your website. But people don't know about it. They're not going to come. They're not going to comment. They're not going to interact. They're not going to disseminate it. So it's not going to be helpful. You can't hurt a business in that way. But in modern times, you can. You can help and you can hurt. So this has become a very potent threat against a business that customers can dangle. Like if you don't satisfy my demands and my wishes, then I'm going to post a negative review. And this has really shaped the way that, another aspect of it is the video. The fact that people have these cell phones and they can take video of everything, that has also altered people's behavior. But I'm talking about here, the second part that I'm mentioning is with respect to in-person interactions. But with the first, it doesn't have to be something that's documentable by video. It's just the fact that I can go and post a review is a weapon that a consumer has that a business does not have, by the way. Okay, a business cannot post a negative review about a consumer. But the reverse is the case, right? You can post a negative review about a bit, and you can do significant harm. So you might think of this as, okay, so what's the problem, right? If I hurt my customer, the customer is going to publicize it. That's a good thing. We've got more transparency here. But it's not exactly so. Because if you think about it, a person who has had a good experience is not necessarily going to post a review. They're much, much less likely to post an organic review. Organic meaning not prompted by the owner. Just organically go, okay, I had a great experience. I have nothing to do right now. What can I do? Oh, I'm going to post a review. It just doesn't work that way. Of course, they have what to do, right? So they're not organically going to go and post a review on Google or on Yelp or on anything. And this is, by the way, why Yelp is so incredibly flawed. Because Yelp tries to tease out, to curate the reviews and only highlight the ones that they think are authentic, that are organic. But there's no such thing as an organic review. The only organic reviews are negative reviews. Okay? Organically, there's very few people who are going to post a review, or definitely in proportion to the people who post negative reviews, you're going to have, this is going to be lopsided, right? If you have 100 customers and let's say, 5 of them are unhappy and 95 are happy, half of the unhappy people are going to post reviews. You're not going to have half of the happy people posting reviews. So therefore, you don't get a true picture of the status of a company by reading the reviews, even if they are authentic. Okay? If you see, let's say, 5 negative reviews on a company and no positive reviews, it doesn't mean that you don't have 1,000 positive, satisfied customers here. So it doesn't give you a good perspective on things. So which brings me to the other subtopic, which is advertisement. So the companies that advertise tend to be companies that are actually, in my experience, that's a very interesting thing to note. I think that the companies who advertise heavily online tend to be dishonest companies. They're dishonest, they tend to overcharge, they're not that great at what they're doing, they're better at marketing and at collecting money than actually delivering services. It's very expensive to advertise online. On Google, I'm talking particularly on Google here. And so, hey Zaki, say hello.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very expensive to advertise online, and so they have to make up for that expense by somehow being aggressive with the consumer. So they charge aggressively, they dissemble and hide how much they're going to charge. So they'll try to dangle some type of promotion. Oh, we give you a free estimate or a free this, or this is only costs you this much, and you get a coupon, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, you're going to pay more if you click on the link, on the first link on the Google results page, because they're paying $40, $50 for your clicking on it. It's insane. So any consumer who does that and they think that they can get a competitively priced and a competitively offered service is sorely mistaken. You just can't do it. The vendor is under immense pressure to make a profit on you without, after recuperating the money that they lost on acquiring you, right? So they are at a distinct disadvantage vis-a-vis a local company who has not done any advertising on you. So it's always better, it doesn't have to be local, any company who you find organically and you contact them organically. So any company that, this is something that I would always tell people who are looking for services or goods. If you can get this goods or service from a company that doesn't advertise, you are almost always better off, because the company that doesn't advertise can offer you a better price and better service than the company who does, who is under very much pressure to deliver, financially, that is, right? They have to recuperate the cost of the advertisement and still make money. And, it's hard to do that. It's just hard to do that. So just keep that in mind, okay? So like I said, with reviews, don't rely on this. Oh, one more thing. Amazon reviews, they're all fake. Amazon knows it and everyone knows it. So, when you read reviews, both on Amazon and on Google, you go to the negative reviews first. Because there's, like I said, the people who leave positive reviews, a lot of times they are either prompted or they're bribed, especially on Amazon. On Amazon, they're being bribed by the manufacturer / distributor / seller to leave a positive review. And so it's just not an authentic review. It's not useful. It's not helpful, and doesn't reflect the reliability and the desirability of that product. So yes, Aki, what is it? Okay, say bye-bye. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.